All right, welcome. Today we are jumping headfirst into one of the most fascinating and, yeah, kind of weird ideas in all of psychoanalysis, Jacques Lacan's Objet, Petit. And I know what you're thinking. That sounds super complicated, but trust me, stick with me on this one, because it might just be the key to a feeling that every single one of us has experienced.
So let me ask you something. Have you ever felt this? You finally get that dream job. You're in the perfect relationship. You buy the exact thing you've been saving up for, and for a minute, everything is great. But then, that high just kind of fizzles out, right? And almost immediately, there's a new thing on the horizon. It's this universal, endless chase for something that's always just out of reach. Well, in this explainer, we're going to figure out why that is.
Okay, so here's the game plan. We're going to go on a journey to find the origin story of our own desire. We'll start with that perpetual chase we're all stuck in. Then we're going to rewind the clock way back to a time before we even had words. We'll see what happens when language crashes the party. And then we'll finally reveal the mysterious lost object that's been pulling the strings all along. By the end, you'll see how this invisible force shapes pretty much everything we do.
All right, first stop on our journey, the perpetual chase. This is it. This is the hunt for the next thing and the next thing after that we believe will finally make us feel whole. It's that feeling of, okay, once I get this promotion, then I'll be happy. But of course you get it, and your brain immediately goes, okay, what's next? And what's so fascinating is that Lacan says, hey, this isn't some personal flaw. This is literally baked into the human condition.
So, to really get why we're like this, we've got to travel back in time. Way back. We're talking about the very beginning of our psychological story. A place Lacan called the imaginary order. Think of this as the world of an infant, a world that exists entirely before language even enters the picture.
Now, the key word here, the one I really want you to focus on, is illusion. In this early pre-verbal stage, a baby has no concept of me versus you. There's no boundary between itself and its mother. It's just one thing, a perfect, seamless bubble of wholeness. There's no separation, no loss, and because of that, absolutely no feeling of lack. It's this incredible, illusionary state of being totally and utterly complete.
But then everything changes. A bomb goes off in this perfect little world. And that bomb? It's language. This is when we enter what Lacan calls the symbolic order, the world of words, of rules, of society. And yeah, getting access to this world comes at a seriously steep price.
This right here is one of Lacan's most famous, most mind-bending ideas. See, for Lacan, language isn't just a bunch of words we use to ask for stuff. No. It's the literal software that runs our reality, the very code that structures our unconscious mind. So when a child first learns to say I and you, mommy and me, they're not just learning vocabulary. They are learning for the very first time the brutal fact of separation. And this slide just lays it out so perfectly, doesn't it? The trade-off is massive. We leave that beautiful, blurry world of oneness, the imaginary, and we step into the rigid, structured world of symbols. Language, just by existing, creates a split. For the first time, the child gets that it's a separate being from its mother. And in that tiny little gap, that's where a feeling of lack is born for the very first time. It's a wound that never really heals.
Okay, and this is the absolute core of the whole idea. When we get kicked out of that perfect imaginary garden, we don't just leave. We take something with us. Or rather, we leave a piece of ourselves behind, and we're left with its echo, its ghost. And that ghost has a name.
The best way to think about it is like a phantom limb, The original state of perfect wholeness is gone, amputated by language. But we are forever haunted by the feeling of its absence. We're left with this ghost, this echo of that perfect lost connection, and our unconscious mind is going to spend the rest of our life trying to find it again.
And that is what Lacan called Objet, Petit. This is the ghost in the machine. It's not a real object. You can't go out and buy it. It's the name Lacan gave to that ghostly memory of wholeness we lost. It's the X on our internal treasure map marking a treasure that's already gone. This is the engine of our desire. This is what causes that perpetual chase.
So let's do a quick recap of this whole wild origin story, right? Step 1. We start in this perfect imaginary bubble of wholeness with our mother. Step 2. Language comes along, pops the bubble, and creates a permanent scar, a fundamental sense of lack. And step 3, for the rest of our lives, our unconscious is on a desperate, endless quest to find that one lost thing, the objet petit a, that it thinks will make us feel whole again.
Okay, I get it. This might all be sounding super abstract, like, what does this have to do with my life? Well, this is where it gets real. Because we can never, ever get that original unity back, our minds do the next best thing. They latch onto substitutes, real things, out there in the real world.
So these right here, these are the real-world phantoms we end up chasing. That person who seems just out of our league. That fancy job title that we think will solve all our problems. That breathtaking sunset we desperately try to capture on our phones. We project the promise of wholeness onto all of these things, thinking this time, this one will be it. But they can't ever fill that original hole. They're just placeholders. And that's why the chase never ever stops.
And this is where it all comes back to you, to us. Look, understanding this wild idea isn't about stopping the chase. That's probably impossible. But it does give us a completely new lens to look at our own lives, our own desires. So the real question isn't how to stop wanting things. Maybe it's just to get smarter about it. To ask yourself, the next time you feel that intense, undeniable pull towards something, what phantom are you really chasing?